What is up? Matt Pratt here, and today we're gonna work on the Supra in daylight for once, right? Kids left me alone, wife left me alone. Maybe I can get into this shop a little early. Sure. Well, I'll at least show everyone your treehouse you have here.
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
So guys, my dad's coming up here.
You got back up.
Yes. My dad's coming back up here. Here, Dad.
This is Brax's little fort, little hideout. We're gonna work on a Supra later tonight. I'll see y'all later. Alright, we're back. A little bit of treehouse fun on a really nice day. Didn't want to pass it up. Anyways, last week we knocked out the quarter panels and we knocked out the doors. What's left? Hatch, hood, fenders. Should be a piece of cake. Yeah, right. So let me get this out of here. We'll get the Supra on the ground and then we can get to work. Well, looking at this wing, I gotta take it off, and it's got a cover on it, which is great because I didn't think it had that panel on it. But the hard part, how do I flip this over without damaging the glass when I'm by myself? This thing is ridiculous heavy too. And I don't want to damage the wing because I have someone interested in it. So I have like a blanket underneath there so the glass isn't touching the table, but still I got to do this quick because all the pressure is on this glass right now. All right, let's strip it down. Alright, so I got most of the guts off of here. This will come out when I unbolt it from the other side of the washer. I got the little defrost little box out, all the wiring, all the latches and everything. The issue that I'm concerned with is the wing. So screw hole there, they're all taken out. I looked inside there isn't any extra screw holes. That one's out, that one's out. Now it's just stuck on there. I feel like dum-dums on there. Some kind of like sticky adhesive, but it's not coming off whatsoever, and I don't want to pry on it. It's like, what do you do? Looks like I'm gonna have to bust out the heat gun. Well, first I'm gonna have to flip it over and bust out the heat gun and see if I can get this wing to come loose on one side. Look how pretty the Kevlar looks on the side that doesn't get any sun. And then if you look, that looks horrible. Looks like the clear or resin that's over this right now doesn't have a really good UV protection. Anyways, so yeah, you just see me struggle flipping this thing over because of this huge wing on here. Now I gotta flip it back over. Let's hope I don't break this glass. So the heat gun didn't work as well as I thought it would. It worked, it got hot, but it just wasn't, there's gonna be a lot of double-sided tape under there. So I actually grabbed some MIG wire for my welder and use it to cut it out. And I just kind of use it like a saw, put it on each end and just pull left and right, and it actually cut right through it. You could do that with windows. A lot of people used to use a guitar string back in the day, but I cut it out and we got it pretty loose. So we're gonna do it to the other side and hopefully this wing will come off. Pretty scary that thing was sucked down and people would pry on it and everything and it would dent the hell out of it. So you definitely don't want to do that, so I'm glad this route worked. Alright, I circled a lot of this stuff. This color is really hard to see in this light here, so I really had to eyeball it, but there's a lot of like small little dings and dents, just little ripples along the edge. I guarantee you that's from shipping, sitting on its side. This is where most of the chips are at. I see some sand scratches here in the light. I doubt there's any mud up there. Still gotta pay attention to it. A lot of chips here, but there isn't any real dings up here, which is crazy because you think everywhere one of these chips it must have took a solid hit. So we got a little bit of damage there from shipping. This looked actually pretty good. The other side has a dent from the wing. That might have been from me picking it up by the wing. You can see a little impression from the wing flexing back. And just, you know, a ding here and a little crease there. Right there, and this thing is not that bad. I mean, yeah, the whole hatch is probably gonna have to be primed because there's a whole lot of chips in it, and it is what it is. I got some special tape that I'll put on here when we paint it, but I got to make sure when I'm sanding this that I do not mess this up at all. But it doesn't look like any of the repairs come even close to it, so I'll just tape it up to protect it for now. But yeah, everything else looks pretty good. And when it was flipped over, I was messing with the tin on here. I can't wait to take this tin off, and it looks like this is like a really nice sticker that's done really nice on there, and I don't think it's going to peel off with a tint, so this is going to be awesome to have this. I really like this little logo right there. I've never ever seen it before on a Supra, so, and if it maybe was something that like a dealership in Japan maybe put on their car, that'd be really awesome. Alright, while the mud is drying on the hatch, I brought the hood over here and looked at it, took apart the backside, took off those pain in the ass hood squirters. They were a pain to take off, but I'm looking at this near perfect hood. I mean, this hood is black and I literally don't see anything. I thought I seen something. Oh, I got a little blemish right here. Alright, so we have the hatch all sanded down, ready for primer. The hood is, the little areas that I do need to fix are pretty much sanded down, so that can be ready for primer. Next step is the fenders. Now, one of the issues I have with these fenders is something happened when they were tightening these fenders down to where they literally broke the whole inside of the fender out. So I found these washers and I'm gonna mark them and I'm gonna weld them underneath. I want to do that before I do any more body work to these fenders because I could heat this panel up and warp it after I thought I straightened it. So what I'm going to do is weld these washers underneath, make them fit really good, and then I'm going to come to the top and drill the holes out a little bit bigger. They need to be a little big so I have some movement, but I just don't need them, you know, this big. So that's the next step, is weld those on, get those done. And see, this one's okay. This one's a little big, but it's okay. Like, I need room to move the fenders around so I get the best alignment. This one up here is going to be a challenge because it's completely broken off. So it's just these two fronts. Anyways, I'm going to weld these washers underneath there just like that beforehand, so I don't warp any of the body work that I've already done to the car. Alright, so my new welded tabs, that's what it looks like. I just put a washer in there. It's a little crusty up in there. I'll put a little bit of filler in there. I also have to drill the hole bigger. I need a little bit of room to adjust for gaps. Looks like the actual hole is just a hair back there, so I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger that way. Alright, with my holes somewhat lined up, like that one's in there, this thing is pretty close to being on. Now, I want that hole a little bit bigger so I have some room to adjust, but I'll drill that out. And I had this stupid ass, like, foam seal. I have no clue what it's for. I don't know if the hood sat right there and they were trying to not have vibration, because this did have like a huge system in here. Maybe it vibrated from all the bass, but your hood isn't supposed to sit that low, so I have no clue what this crap was for. Luckily, it came out pretty easy with a wire wheel, because that just adds to more ugliness in the engine bay. I'm gonna be obviously digging this side out too. I'm just saying I'm so glad that it came out so easy. So alright, we got the fenders set up here. I'm actually going to take this foam off of this, set it back up, then I'm going to start blocking the sides of these, and we can see if we have any other issues to address before we prime. So I put the fender back on the car and I installed it just with a couple bolts. It's got like some weirdness right in this area, and it made me think, I mean, all this stuff has to be addressed. It's got some waves up in this area, like it feels like this is low, maybe this is high. Kind of made me remember, I gotta roll this fender edge. And the best way to roll this fender edge is to take the wheel off. So I'm gonna put the car up in the air, bolt the fender down with a couple more bolts, take this wheel off so I can really get in here and roll this fender just like I did the quarters. Alright, got the wheel off and I hammered and dollied in there, and it rolled pretty good. Some light in there. I don't need it perfectly flat, because if I were to make this perfectly flat, it would be weak. In other words, anytime maybe the tire accidentally touches it, it could easily crease it. You need a little bit of a roll here, so this thing is like stiff. The flatter you make it, and it just becomes like too flimsy, and you could really, what we call taco your fender. I just need a little bit out of it just in case. I would love my tires to just be so beefy and fat that they're just like barely clearing it. And when I started hammering and dollying it, even though I got this sucker bolted there to there and even up front here, it started to actually pull the fender out, what I did not want to do. So I had to tap it back in. And of course, when you tap it back in, it kind of leaves it kind of wavy. It is what it is, as long as it is straight. Like, I need that kind of straight. It's starting to poke out just a hair. I think I'm okay with that. I'll come over here to the other side. I mean, this sucker is almost inverted a little bit. I don't need it that far in. I definitely want it like straight up and down. I really love the stock SUPRA body lines. I'm trying to keep them as stock as possible. So yeah, that one is coming out a hair. Man, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap it back down. I'm gonna just keep tapping it, and hopefully it goes back in, and then mud it up. So good news is the rest of the fender looks great. I am gonna run a block over it. I do plan on priming the entire fender just to help keep it as straight as possible. But yeah, the rest of the fender looks pretty good. Hopefully I won't have too much time invested in this. And I just jinxed myself. I just said I probably won't have a lot of time invested in this fender, and then look what I did. So I was trying to get this fender to come out straight, and for some reason it wasn't doing so. I knew I had a little bit of mud in here, so I started to dig it out, and this is what it looks like. The reason why this fender wasn't pulling out right is because this area right here was still low, and you're trying to pull something out, it's not working. So I had to dig all the mud out, hit it with the dent puller to actually pull this little area out, and now I got a good solid edge here that I can build off of. And yeah, completely jinxed myself. I'm gonna have a lot of time invested into this fender now, but it is what it is. This body line right here and the angle of it is like one of the key parts that I noticed on Supras. It's the same in the rear. I can't have it flaring out at all and not matching the rest of the car. I just don't want to live with it. So it is what it is. I'll spend as much time as I want on this fender as long as it's right, you know. All right, the mud is drying, so I took the tire off. I started cutting the tabs for the fender liner. I'm not gonna run fender liners in here. Car's garage kept. I'm not gonna drive on rainy days. It is gonna get a little bit of dirt and stuff up there, but if the car's really low, you lose a little bit of travel because your tires are always running the fender liners. Plus, the tabs that are on that the fender liners connect to this arch that I'm trying to roll out of the way. So once I roll these fenders, I wouldn't be able to use the tabs anyway, and it just makes the fender roll a lot easier when you take the tabs out. All right, so I'm looking at this fender. We're looking at it right now, and you can see it has, you know, that body line to it, and it kind of goes like inverted almost. It definitely doesn't flare out. So we're gonna see how this one goes. Let's hope it does not flare out. I'm hoping that it doesn't, and the only reason why the other one did is because it had that weak spot where that dent was at. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Tell you a car I don't like straightening is a SUPRA fender. As you can see why. This body lines suck. You got the edge here, and of course whenever I rolled the fender it screwed that up, so I had to straighten all that out. Then it has this body line that goes in here like literally swoops down here like this, and then it's got this is one, and then it turns into a little hump here that blends into that, and then it all meets together right here at the door. Like what? And yeah, it's like that on both sides, but it feels pretty good now. I can't complain. Looks ugly, looks hideous, but whatever. We'll see what it looks like after I'm done painting it. And I touched up a couple areas in here, messed with this area a little bit. Let's take a look at the other side. That turned out really good. Touched up this area, wasn't really happy with it. A little more happy with it now. And of course, rolled my fender edge. And I didn't even roll it that much, and it still wanted to curl it and move it in the wrong way. So I'm pretty happy with it now. Finally, the last step of this bodywork we've been doing forever is putting all this stuff in primer. So I'm going to take those fenders back off, and I'm going to set them up on a stand, set the hood up on a stand, set the hatch up on a stand, tape all this crap up, and shoot it. Let's do it. In case you've been wondering about that Camaro that's always chilling in the background, she's painted, Porsche's painted, and all this stuff is waiting to get buffed. But I ain't touching it until I'm done painting this. Yeah, I threw the SUPRA up in the air. Maybe it won't get overspray on it. I was too lazy to bag it up. Whatever. Anyways, we are in primer. Both fenders are in primer. The hatch is in primer. Most of this car is in primer. The doors are in primer. I even remember to come over here and shoot a little spot on the hood. So yeah, we are good to go. The next step on this is prepping it out. So next few weeks, we'll probably have a SUPRA painted, all one color. Maybe? I hope so. Anyways, I gotta edit this video so that I can get back out here and start working on this thing. So I'm gonna cut it right now. I just wanna say, if it's your first time watching this episode, subscribe to my channel. You don't wanna miss out on any of this SUPRA content. I've been documenting this content the best I can. We are getting so close. I've been getting everything else painted. This is the only thing left to get painted. I should be having a video out every single week, so don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you get notified when I put a video out. And you know, like, comment, share, all that crap. Stop watching me, go work on something of your own, and I'll see you next video.